Honestly, I think the hardest part of learning a language is staying consistent. Like, yes, the pronunciation is hard. Yes, the grammar is hard. Yes, finding resources can be very difficult, but staying consistent over the long term, that requires a lot of accountability. And that's what today's video is about. It's about accountability. How can you stay accountable learning a language? Stick around to find out, because I'm going to tell you. Hi, I'm Jackson from Let's Learn Languages. I've been learning languages for 2.5 years. Right now, Portuguese and Swahili is what I'm learning. And how was I able to stay consistent for 2.5 years? Well, one of the biggest things for me was the fear of disappointment, the crippling pressure from society and parental expectations. But it's fine. There are other reasons too. It's not just that. For example, a tool that's helped me out a lot is something that I like to call remembering the why. Remembering the why. And that's just essentially remembering why you are learning a language in the first place. It could be to sound cool. It could be for a vacation. It could be to give your children a better life. It could be to give yourself a better life. And for my reason why I'm learning Portuguese is because I want to travel the world. I want to travel to Brazil, and people don't speak a lot of English in Brazil, so I need to learn Portuguese if I want to get around. So I guess one of the main reasons for me as to how I stay accountable is because I have to be. Because if I don't learn Portuguese, I'm not going to have a good time in Brazil, and I don't want that to happen. So I'm kind of putting myself in a position where I'm forcing myself to learn Portuguese, or else I'm going to be kind of miserable in Brazil, and that's the last thing I want. Or another thing that I want to do is I want to have this YouTube channel, and I want to teach people how to learn languages. And if I don't learn languages myself, then how can you guys trust me for information on how to learn a language? So if I keep this channel up, then I kind of inevitably am forcing myself to learn a language so that I don't give poor information or information that's inaccurate. But a main part of how I stay accountable is I put it on my calendar. I put everything on my calendar, from classes that I need to do, to homework that I need to do, to clubs that I need to do, or friends I need to hang out with, or languages I want to learn and I have to do, or YouTube that I have to do, which is on my calendar right now. But it's all stuff that I have to do. So if I put learning a language, or if I schedule a time to learn a language on my calendar, then I'll learn a language, because I've built up a habit of discipline, and anything that goes on my calendar, I should probably do. And when I schedule a time, I don't do it for hours and hours on end. I do it for 15, 20 minutes a day, if that. And the point I want to make with this is that if you schedule at short times, it's easier for you to be accountable, because the things that you have to do aren't as difficult. For example, I had a friend back in freshman year, so 3 years ago, and he wanted to get into working out. So he's like, I'm going to go 6 days a week. I'm going to be huge. It's going to be awesome. And he didn't even make it a week, because what he was doing was inherently difficult. Going from working out 0 days a week to working out 6 days a week, it takes a lot of commitment. And that's really, really difficult to stay accountable for when you've never done it before. So if you start out learning a few minutes at a time, it could even be like 5 minutes per day, or a Duolingo lesson. That'll help you build that accountability as to learning a language is something that you should be doing. And it reminds me of James Clear, Atomic Habits, how if you start doing the things that form your identity, then your identity will start to form around the things you do. So it's not so much you go to the gym to be athletic, it's you are athletic, so you go to the gym. Much the same way, if you build this habit, it'll be, rather than I will study so I learn a language, it's I will learn a language so I have to study. And this kind of reinforces the idea that you should be accountable in learning a language, because that's what language learners do. They learn languages. So just by doing that a few minutes a day, that'll help you kind of intrinsically hold yourself accountable in the fact that it's something that you should be doing. What I've done in the past is I've joined conversation tables or done tutoring where I need to show up, because if I don't, then the other people are going to miss me because I'm so awesome. But actually, if you consistently show up to the language table, and then you miss a week, when you come back the following week, the people are going to be like, where were you? You should have been here. We missed you. Those sorts of things. And those people will hold you accountable if you go to these conversation tables enough. Completely switching topics because I don't have a good segue. I mentioned it earlier, but a Duolingo streak. Like, keeping a Duolingo streak is very motivating. It helps keep you accountable, because you don't want your big number to go to 0 again. So if you've been keeping a streak for 3 months, you have a 90-day streak, you kind of hold yourself to the standard how you need to continue your streak, so that you don't let yourself down. You hold yourself accountable for it. So holding a Duolingo streak can be a great way to hold yourself accountable for learning a language. And again, this can translate to other ways of learning a language, maybe not just doing a Duolingo streak, but also studying for 15 minutes a week and then 30 minutes a week. That's what you've started building the habit of doing. I'm going to be jumping around a whole lot in this video, but going back to my examples of something that helped me is for Swahili. I started going to a conversation table with a native Swahili speaker because he grew up in Kenya. I'm very grateful for the opportunity to speak with somebody who knows Swahili, who isn't charging me for his knowledge. I think that's very cool. And it kind of motivates me to do well and study outside of the conversation table because I want to impress him and show him like, hey, what you're doing isn't for naught. I actually do want to learn this language and I'm trying my hardest to learn this language even outside of class. So it's almost like the fear of disappointing him is keeping me accountable in learning Swahili. And that raises a good point. If you tie your success to other people, then it makes it easier to stay accountable. And it goes back to, what's the quote? There's a quote for this. Oh, you are your own harshest critic. That's what the quote is. And this is relevant because oftentimes we aren't very kind to ourselves, and if we only hold ourselves accountable, we'll get frustrated and give up. But if we tie our accountability to other people, then we will want to show up to show them, I respect you and I want to learn this language with you. I want to learn from you. I want to hang out with you. You don't want to disappoint them. Where it's very easy to just disappoint yourself, because oftentimes we treat ourselves worse than we treat other people, unfortunately. And that holds true for me, and I'm sure that resonates with a lot of you guys too. And if you don't have any people to study with or any native speakers to interact with, a great way to keep yourself accountable is through money. Give your friend $20, say, give this back to me once I've studied for an hour this week, and then you have to study for an hour this week to earn your $20 back. And this is the part of the video where it gets hypothetical. I've never done this, but I'm sure it works because money is a great motivator, because capitalism, society, blah, 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 you know the drill. And don't just give it to a random person. Well, obviously don't give money to a random person, but like, don't give money to a friend that doesn't know you that well. Try to give it to somebody who does know you pretty well so that they can tell if you're lying, because maybe you don't study and you want that $20 back, and be like, hey, I studied for an hour last week. I gotta have that $20 back. And be like, you asshole, you did not. And if you don't have the funds to do this, don't worry, it's a-okay. You can also do this with a bet. You can bet yourself, I will learn an hour of whatever language you want to learn this week, or else I will eat a spicy pepper or jump into a frozen lake or whatever, you know, something along those lines, like something that's not going to like kill you, but it's not going to feel great. It's very comfortable. It gives you a lot of fear. Oh, I'm going to take a cold shower. That will motivate you. But things like that. And it'll be more fun if you do it with a friend who wants to learn any language or wants to improve his or her life somehow. Like, say a friend has a really bad sleeping schedule. You can be like, you have to go to bed at 10 and wake up at 7, and I have to learn my language for 2 hours every week. And if we don't, then there's this really spicy pepper that we're both going to eat. And if one of us fails, then the other person has to eat it anyways. And that would be a really good motivator. I'm just kind of bullshitting off the top of my head, but these are really good ideas, I think. But yeah, in short, there are a ton of things you can do to stay accountable. Most of it's in the form of obligation to another person, and that seems to work really, really well. At least it does for me, and I'm sure it does for a lot of people. Just as I said before, you are your harshest critic. We're often kinder to other people than we are to ourselves. So 2 lessons here to take away from this video. Obviously, the whole theme of being accountable. There's a lot of good advice in here, I think, from somebody who has learned a language for 2.5 years. But just the also general advice of just be kinder to yourself, because you don't deserve the hate you give to yourself. You should treat yourself like your best friend and motivate yourself and support yourself and keep on getting yourself to try new things and get out of your comfort zone, etc., etc., etc. You should be that person in your own life because it is good for you. Because if you don't, you're gonna be miserable. I don't want that. You don't want that. I don't want that for you. You don't want that for me. If that message resonates with you, just give yourself a compliment tonight. Right now, give yourself a compliment. I like myself because of this reason. And how did that feel? What am I doing? I'm gonna end the video now. Have a great day. Good luck learning a language. I'll talk to you in another video. Ciao.